Now that we have our power connection, our pigtail connected to our power distribution board, it's time to connect the power line for our flight controller, the power for our video camera, and the power for our lights to the power distribution board. Take your Nage 32 flight controller package and remove from it the wiring bundle. We're really not going to be working with this as it is, but we are going to be cannibalizing it for parts. And we're going to take this part right here, this servo connector. We're going to use this to connect power to our flight controller. And I want you to take your dikes and cut about 100 centimeters of this, maybe about a fingertip length away, and just cut that right off. We're not going to need the bundle anymore, but we do need this. But what we do not need is the white wire, because the flight controller is only using the red and the black wires. While holding down the servo, take your hobby knife and slide it right underneath that tab. And lift it up like that. Then the wire should just pull out. We don't need this wire, we only need the ground and the power. I set my wire cutters to have the right gap for this size wire. Take your wire cutters and cut off just a little bit of the end. You don't need much. And give it a little twist. Put a little solder on your tip of your soldering iron and give it a quick little tinning. These wires are slightly longer than I'd like, so I'm going to just clip off some of the tips just so I have just a little bit there. Just like that. We're going to connect to the 5-volt regulated pad. Take the red wire, place it over the solder pad that you've already pre-tinned and give just a little heat, and that's it. Continue with the black wire. Continue with the black wire. Just give it a little heat. And that's it. I also like to give it just a little tug to make sure they're secure. And now we have power for our flight controller to our power distribution board. Now it's time to hook up video power to our power distribution board. So open up your Foxtier package and take out the wiring bundle. On this, you'll notice we have the red and the black wires. Take them. Let's give them a little pre-tinning. These wires already came pre-stripped, so we just got to freshen up the solder with a little tin. The reason we do this is sometimes the solder that may be on here is different than what you're using and be less compatible. So it's always a good idea to freshen up the solder. It also takes off any oxidation. Straighten out your wire, make it a little easier. Pull your wires in such a way that all this bundle goes back, because we just want to deal with these two wires. Starting with the red wire, we're going to take it to the 12-volt regulated pad and just apply a little heat to the top so the solder melts, and bring that in. And that's in. Take the black wire to the ground, start melting the solder, flows, and release. Again, test it by giving a little tug, make sure we're on there. Now we have power for our video transmitter and our video camera. Next, we're going to hook up power for our LED light, and for that, we're going to need these two wires here. So take your wire cutters and strip a little bit of the wire off both ends. We're going to need this later. One for the battery and one for the board. And we don't need a lot of wire for this. Again, twist the ends down. Take your soldering iron again, and let's pre-tin these wires. Pre-tinning is probably the fastest thing that you should be doing, because it only takes a moment. And there we go. We're going to be attaching our wires for our LED directly to auxiliary 1 at the top. I know the lights are coming out the bottom, but this is the port we have available. And our LED lights require 12-volt power, and as you recall from our earlier video, the power here is coming directly off the battery, unfiltered. I like to be in the habit of using the power wire, the red wire, before I do the black ground wire. Again, apply a little heat, goes right on down, and that's on. And now the ground wire, little heat. Place your solder iron back and give a little tug. The last thing we need to connect is our camera sensor. The camera sensor is for our voltage, so we know what we have coming off of our battery, and that's a great part of this camera. To get to that, we need our wiring bundle, which is all the way in the bottom compartment. So open this up, reach in there, and you'll find this package right here. Open that package up and pull out the wiring bundle. What we're concerned with is this wire right here, this bluish grayish wire. This wire is our battery sensor wire, and you'll notice it connects all the way here at the end. And the end of the camera, where that would plug in, says VSend. That tells us the voltage. You need to connect this to the positive pad on the auxiliary 2 port on the power distribution board. And we're going to do that right now. Be sure to put all your parts away other than the wire, because you're not going to want to lose any of them later in our build process. We just want to have our wires right now. Again, as always, we start by tinning the wire. Take your needle nose pliers and go to the positive. Hold the wire over that, apply a little heat, and that's that. I want to point out that the ground for auxiliary 2 we are not going to touch. It is unnecessary, so leave that alone. Congratulations, you've got everything wired up to your power distribution board. You've got your power for your battery, you've got your power for your flight controller, you've got your power for your LED lights, you've got your power for your video transmitter and your video camera, and you've got the voltage sensor for your video camera. Congratulations! Great job!